Well, I'll bring you up to speed a little bit. As I mentioned in the last video, the original ram you can see laying on the floor there, the trailer. The crane was working fine, going up and down, no dramas. I got a bit of iPhone footage here I'll slip in. We put Toby's four-wheeler on it, raised it up and lifted it, no dramas, and it was above the deck height. And then I went to drop it. You can see that control valve on the brass valve on the side of the cylinder, the flow control. That was opened right up. When I lowered it, it come down in a hurry, and I let go of the button, and it blew the arse out of the seals on in the cylinder. That cylinder's probably been sitting on the shelf of the old man's for probably 6 years. Yeah, and the seals shrink. Anyway, blew this, yeah, and so you can't service that one. You can cut the ends off, I suppose, and weld the ends back on. But I got onto Queensland Tractor Repairs, Bundy Bear Shed, on their website, and ordered a new cylinder from them. Very reasonably priced, in my opinion. Delivered to the door for just over $200. So that's all right. The problem is, that's as low as it goes now. That's all the way down on the cylinder compared to the original. The original cylinder, well, it was about a foot off the ground, or just over a foot off the ground. So I've got to shift that top mount for the cylinder. Also, it's got a clevis setup, which it works there now, but I'll just make it like a single point. Now, over the weekend, when I had a couple of spare minutes, I just machined up a block that I'll shape with a hole, and it'll get welded underneath with a reinforcement plate too. So that's what we're going to do. So the plan is to unhook the cylinder off the front, use a crane on me trolley, lower it down to where I want it, to the lowest point, bring the cylinder back up, then I know roughly where I got to put the new mount. As it sits down there, it'll stand up bloody vertical. Like, it stands up pretty high. Just give you a bit of a demo here. I can't sort of go any further because it's going to hit the headboard like that. So that's what I'm up against. I've got to lower it a bit. I just pop that cylinder out and I'll lower it down now to where I want it to go to. I'm thinking around there. You know, you can pick up whatever he wants then. You can probably see the rough outline there. Now, I know the lighting's bad in this corner. My little light that I've always used decided not to go anymore. He had a hernia. So I'm going to make up the mount. It's got to have an inch hole through it, a fraction over an inch. Put her over in the middle and shape it up. So after a little bit of fettling with the grinder, it's plenty good enough. Okay, it's absolutely scorching here today outside, I tell you. I've cut a piece of plate, rounded the ends, so there's no sharp, like no straight lines for the boom to crack, so it's rounded. That's what the young fella told me to do. I'm going to tack it into place, then put it actually back together on the trailer and trial it. And then if this needs shifting, it's easy enough just to knock the tacks off and redo it. So, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm just trying it out on the trailer. That's all the way down. We'll go up. $1,930mm above the deck, so about 6'5". I think I'll leave it right alone at that and weld that bracket on where it is. Well, this has become a right pain in the crack, really, to be honest. With that cylinder, I don't believe it will lift the mower at 500 kilo with that configuration. What I've decided to do is put a winch on the top, which I had thoughts of early in the piece. Now, I don't know whether the pump's a little weak, whether just the geometry of it, or whether the cylinder's a fraction small. I don't know. I am toying with the idea of just taking hydraulics off it and putting like a hard bar between them, an adjustable hard bar like what you see on a 3-point linkage, that you can just adjust the height of it and then just use your winch for lifting and lowering, which I think may be a good way to go. So I'm in the middle of mounting the winch up on the top. It's a 3,000 pound winch. So what's that, 1,300 kilo? Double it up, you'll have a pretty good size winch. Yeah, so that's where we're up to, sort of up shit creek. A little bit disappointing, but anyway, it is what it is. The whole thing might be a failure yet. Found a bit of plate that I can use. This hole's not used, but these are threaded to the same pattern that's in the bottom of this winch. This thing gets bolted up to that and then it gets welded. So I threaded it so the bolts go actually through the arm as well when the winch is bolted on. So what I'm going to do now is grind the paint off again and then bolt it on, weld it on, and then let it cool down obviously, then I can bolt the winch on. So we're going to make a roller up. No plans for this, just build it on the run like normal. And that's proven to bite me in the ass a couple of times on this build, big time. Yeah, I'm just going to make this as I go. Just, yeah, suck it and see. If it works, it works. Five thou over the 3/4, which is good. So we're going to put the same on the other end, and then I'll work on the bit in the guts. Okay, I've got to form the scallop in the guts for the, probably not a very nice way of putting it, is it? Got to form the radius in the bottom. I don't have a radius tool to do it. Can't really be bothered even making one, to be honest. I'm just going to see how I go. Get a bit of cable. That's almost good enough. Just a bit of a fiddle around with it, and I reckon we nearly got it by the balls. That is plenty good enough. I don't know what you guys reckon, but I'm just throwing a bit of Scotch-Brite in that groove just to clean it up, and that'll do it. That's what we ended up with. A bit dirty now, I've been touching it all, but plenty good enough. What I've done here, I've prepped up a couple of pieces of plate. These will be the mounts for the roller we just made on the lathe. So these got to have a 3/4 hole put in them, and then I'll just sort of round the ends off, and they get welded onto the end of the extension on the hurdy-gurdy on the crane. That's a 3/4 bolt. Got a little bit of wiggle in them. It's not going to hurt. I've rounded the top of them two brackets off that we bored out. I made up a just a dummy slug that's 1 millimetre longer than what the actual roller is. Tacked it into place, so now just got to weld that on and pull the bolt out, put the proper roller back in, and then it should be right to go. So just going to weld this up, and then that part's completed. Although I've got to make up another pin, like a proper pin, so I can pump a bit of grease into. I just knocked that pin out, or that spacer out, and oh, still fairly hot too, and that fits beautifully. So I just got to make up a pin now for this. I'm going to put a grease point in the end of it. I could put bearings in it, could have went that way, but oh, bugger it. Everything else has got grease points, why not just have grease points here? I know the old fella don't mind grease and stuff when he remembers. So that's the pin I end up making. It's originally a cat bolt. I just narrowed down the head, put a cap on the back, thread it in there. It's done up tight and that spins very freely. I may have to put like a spring clip or something over that. I'm not too sure yet. Just going to see how it goes, because when it's actually in transit, the hook will be hooked up to the side of the trailer and have a bit of tension on it anyway, so it can't come off. For the legs, this is the one I originally made. Obviously I made them off camera because there's nothing special about them. Now this one works. I've lifted the four-wheeler on and off with this leg here. It's no dramas. But then I got thinking, and after reading a lot of the comments, all you guys giving suggestions and that, which has been fantastic, it does have to, yeah, for lifting heavy stuff, it needs to be splayed out. So I just, yeah, come up with this idea. It just slides in and out. Also on the very front, I added this mount, a bit of a brace as well. So it's welded to the actual frame of the trailer. Well, it's bolted down in with 4 3/4 bolts through the bottom, plus 2 3/4 bolts on the side here, welded to the frame. So it just takes that bit of flex out of it. Just a little added extra. I was thinking one night laying in bed, just done it. Anyway, when if he ever wants to take the crane off, it's just 6 bolts. It comes off, back to a flat tray again. This has been one hell of a challenging build for me. I didn't know how it was going to turn out and whether it's even going to be any good when I started. It looks promising. I'm a bit peeved about the hydraulics. That's sort of, yeah, a bit annoyed about that. But I'm thinking more to the point, it was probably the ram I chose is the wrong ram. And I can't afford to go and buy another one. So we're just going to go with the 3-point linkage adjustable top link arm. Dad's got one sitting down there in the shed. So like a new one. So we're just going to, and it fits straight up. So I've had him measure it up and it'll fit straight away. I'm sure I'll use that hydraulic ram and that power pack for another project for myself at some stage. I've got nothing planned for that yet. So if you've got any ideas, throw them in the comments. Anyway, I'm sorry it's taken 5 videos to get this made, but that's the way it goes. So be it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And thanks guys. See you on the next video.